Greetings, dear students. Let us learn about the different types of precipitation tests in this video session as a part of the second unit, that is antigens and antibodies. In the previous sessions, we had learned about the basis of antigen-antibody interactions, different concepts like affinity, avidity, and the concept of equivalence, as well as the different types of agglutination reactions. In the current session, we will learn in detail about the different types of precipitation reactions. Precipitation occurs when antibodies interact with soluble or free antigens in solution, forming lattices due to cross-linking of the antigens and antibodies. The lattices eventually lead to formation of visible precipitate. Precipitation reactions between antigens and antibodies can occur either in solution or in gels. In case the precipitation reactions are occurring in solution, the amount of precipitate that is formed can be quantified by processes like nephelometry. Gel-based precipitation reactions are of two major types, namely diffusion-based and electrophoresis-based. Let us look at all these reactions in detail. Precipitation reactions in solution occur only when the antigens and antibodies are present in equivalent concentrations. This can be explained like this. Take a set of tubes in which a constant amount of antigen is added. Add increasing concentrations of the antibodies to these tubes and allow for precipitation to occur. In those tubes where the antibodies are in excess to the concentration of antigens, precipitation does not occur because cross-linking of antigens and antibodies does not take place. Similarly, in those tubes where the antigen concentration is in excess of the antibody concentration, again lattice formation does not occur. So in both these conditions, that is either antigen excess or antibody excess, cross-linking and lattice formation does not occur, which does not lead to occurrence of visible precipitate. Only in those tubes in which the antigens and antibodies are present in equivalent concentrations, precipitation occurs. And this amount of precipitate that is formed is directly proportional to the amount of antibody in the added sample. The experiment also can be performed keeping the concentration of antibody constant and adding increasing concentrations of antigens to the tubes. By using a known set of standards with known quantities of either antigen or antibody and measuring the amount of precipitate formed, a standard graph can be generated, and using this standard graph, the quantity of antigen or antibody in given unknown samples can be estimated. Generally, the amount of precipitate formed in these solution reactions is measured by measuring the turbidity or the OD value spectrophotometrically. So, the concentration of antibody is taken on the x-axis and the OD values are taken on the y-axis in case we are measuring the quantity of antibody in the given samples. In case we are trying to measure the amount of antigen in the samples, then the standards of antigen are plotted on the x-axis and the OD values are plotted on the y-axis. A standard curve is generated using this method, which can be used to find out or estimate the amount of antigen or antibody in any number of test samples. This process of measuring the turbidity is termed as nephelometry. Moving on to precipitation reactions occurring in gels. The precipitation tests that are allowed to undergo in diffusion are mainly radial immunodiffusion and Auchterlonie double diffusion, whereas there are certain procedures which occur under the influence of an electric field. The most important formats in these are immunoelectrophoresis and rocket immunoelectrophoresis. Radial immunodiffusion is a procedure which involves single diffusion in two dimensions. That is, this allows the diffusion of only the antigen. In this case, the antiserum or antibody is incorporated into agar gels cast on a slide or a petri dish. In these agar gels, wells are cut into which antigen samples are loaded. These antigens undergo diffusion radially, that is, in all the directions around the well, and when the concentration of antigen in these samples reaches equivalence to the antibody, then precipitation occurs. This precipitation in gel is generally observed as whitish lines called as precipitin lines. These precipitin lines, in case of radial immunodiffusion, occur as concentric rings around the antigen wells. The diameter of the ring is directly proportional to the concentration of the antigen. Radial immunodiffusion is also called as Mancini technique, and this is a quantitative assay. So this is a petri dish where an agarose gel is cast incorporating the antiserum or the antibody. Wells of equal size are cut into the gel. In the central well, an unknown sample has been loaded, and in all these wells at the periphery of the petri dish, known quantities of antigen has been loaded. These serve as the standards. So, the antigen concentration is in increasing order in this direction. We can observe that the concentric rings are formed around the well, and the size of these rings is proportional to the concentration of the antigen. That is, the size of the ring or the diameter of the ring increases with increase in the antigen concentration. Now, the diameter or the radius of this precipitin ring is measured and plotted as a standard curve, taking the diameter on the x-axis, on the y-axis, and the concentration of antigen on the x-axis. The diameter of the precipitin ring in case of the unknown sample is also measured, and the quantity of the antigen in this unknown sample is measured or estimated using the standard graph. It is important to understand that the precipitin rings are formed at a point where the concentration of the antigen and antibody reaches equivalence zone. Surrounding the well, very near to the well, usually the concentrations of antigen is higher, but as diffusion proceeds, the concentration decreases due to increase in size of the area, and it takes longer time for reaching equivalent concentrations in case the initial concentration is higher. As such, the diameter of the precipitin ring increases with increase in the initial concentrations of the antigen. This is a commonly used quantitative assay to know the amount of antigen in given samples. The next type of diffusion based antigen antibody interaction is Octerlony double diffusion. This involves diffusion of both antigens and antibodies in two dimensions. The Octerlony double diffusion, which is generally abbreviated as ODD technique, can be used both for qualitative as well as quantitative purposes. Qualitative Octerlony is performed to understand the serological identity between two given antigens, that is, whether the two given antigens are identical to each other or share any of the epitopes, or if they are totally different from each other. The pattern of precipitin lines generated in case of a qualitative ODD is very unique and specific. In case the two given antigens are identical to each other, then the precipitin lines appear in the form of an arc. A pattern of crossed lines appears when the two given antigens are totally different and unrelated to each other. Fusion of two lines with a spur occurs in case the two given antigens are of partial identity. This is a pictorial representation of qualitative octolony double diffusion. So a polyclonal antibody which can interact with both the given antigens separately is loaded into one of the wells. Two wells of the same size are made at the same distance from this antibody well, and these are loaded with the two given antigens. These are allowed to undergo diffusion at room temperature under moist conditions. Generally, the incubation extends to over a period of 12 to 14 hours, that is, overnight incubation. So, during this incubation, both the antigens and antibodies diffuse around the well. In the direction in which they meet each other, they undergo precipitation at equivalent concentrations. In case the two given antigens are identical to each other, then the precipitin lines give an arc-shaped appearance. In case the two antigens are different from each other, unrelated to each other, but interact with this polyclonal antibody, then they give a cross-shaped or crisscross precipitin lines. Those antigens which share some of the epitopes, that is, they are partially identical, then fusion of two lines with a branch or spur is the pattern of precipitin lines generated. This is a gel showing the different patterns of precipitin lines in case of qualitative octolony double diffusion. Quantitative analysis also can be performed using the Octerloni technique, in which case the gel is cast on a square glass line with a central antibody well and a ring of equidistant equiradial wells with antigens. Known concentrations of antigens are loaded in some of these wells, and we can also load unknown samples in which we don't know the concentration of the antigen. And this gel is allowed for incubation overnight, during which diffusion of the antigens and antibodies takes place. At a point where the antigens and antibodies reach equivalence, they undergo precipitation, giving rise to the white precipitin lines. The distance of this precipitin line from the antigen well increases with increase in the concentration of antigen in the well. This is measured and used to construct a standard graph. The distance of the precipitin line in case of the unknown sample is also measured, and using the standard graph, the amount of antigen in the unknown sample can be estimated. So this is how Octerloni double diffusion can be employed for both qualitative and quantitative assays. The next format of gel-based antigen-antibody precipitation reactions occur under the influence of an electric field. The basic format being immunoelectrophoresis. So this is a combination of both immunodiffusion and electrophoresis. Different antigens in a serum or protein sample are separated according to their charge and size under the influence of an electric field. Now, following electrophoresis, a trough is cut into the agar gel and the separated antigens in the sample are allowed to interact with the antibody that is loaded into this trough. The interaction here is then allowed only by diffusion and not under the influence of an electric field. Overnight incubation for diffusion allows a series of precipitin lines to be formed, and the antigens in the serum or the protein sample loaded in the wells can be identified based on these precipitin lines. The agarose gel is submerged in a gel tank filled with electrophoresis buffer, and the gel tank is connected to electrodes to a power supply. When electric field is applied, the antigen mixture or the protein sample that is loaded in the well undergoes separation, and the different components or antigens in that mixture are separated by traveling towards the cathode and the anode according to their charge and mass. Once this separation under electrophoresis is completed, the gel is taken out from the gel tank and a long straw is cut in the direction of movement of the antigens. This straw is then filled with the polyclonal antiserum and the gel is allowed for incubation, during which diffusion of the antiserum and the antigens takes place. The diffusion of the antigens is radial, whereas the diffusion of the antiserum is lateral. At a point where these two interact and are found to be complementary, they undergo precipitation, giving rise to whitish precipitation arcs. By comparing these arcs to a set of standards, we can identify the different types of antigens that are present in the sample. So, the immunoelectrophoresis is generally a qualitative procedure. Another format of immunoelectrophoresis is rocket immunoelectrophoresis. In this, as the name says, the precipitin bands appear in the shape of rockets. Antibody is incorporated into the gel and antigen is loaded into the wells cut in the gel. These antigens are allowed to undergo electrophoretic separation under the influence of an electric field, and then precipitation occurs when these reach the antigen and the antibody reach equivalent concentrations. The height of the rocket is directly proportional to the amount of antigen in the well. A known set of standards with known quantities of antigens can be used to generate rockets to be plotted as a standard curve. The area or the height of the rocket is proportional to the quantity of antigen in the well. From the standard curve, using the height of the rocket formed in case of unknown samples, the amount of antigen in the unknown samples can be estimated. As such, the rocket immunoelectrophoresis is a quantitative assay. This is a diagram image of a rocket immunoelectrophoresis. We can see here the first four represent wells loaded with standards or known concentrations of antigens. The lowest being this one and the highest is towards this end. We can see that the height of the precipitation rocket is proportional, that is increases with increase in the concentration of the antigen in the wells. This is an unknown sample loaded into one of the wells. When the height of these rockets is taken on the y-axis and the concentration of antigens is taken on the x-axis, a standard curve can be generated using which the amount of antigen in the unknown sample can be estimated. So these are all the different important precipitation based antigen antibody interactions used for qualitative and quantitative purposes. To summarize, precipitin lines are generated when antigens and antibodies interact in equivalent concentrations. There are different types of qualitative and quantitative analysis, both diffusion based and gel based assays. The solution based and gel based assays. Gel based assays again can be operated by diffusion or by electrophoresis. The different diffusion based assays are radial immunodiffusion and Octerlony double diffusion, while electrophoretic assays, the commonly employed ones are rocket immunoelectrophoresis and immunoelectrophoresis. You can refer to these references for further learning. Thank you.